Chapter 3 of the Book of Boba Fett has dropped on Disney Plus today, and if you haven't seen the show yet, it's got this non-linear storytelling going on, and I'm not going to spoil anything at the moment. I'm just going to say that it's got scenes that take place before Boba's return in The Mandalorian Season 2, and it's got some scenes in the present day after Mando Season 2, and I know a lot of people have not been in on the flashbacks with him and the Tuskens, but in Episode 3, the flashbacks take a bit of a back seat, so how does this episode work with just present day stuff? Well, if you haven't seen the episode yet, click off right now, go watch another episode review, because right now we're going to dive into spoilers for Episode 3, Chapter 3. Stay tuned. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Hez Project. I'm John Rodalaza, and today we're talking about The Book of Boba Fett, Episode 3, Chapter 3. I believe it's called The Streets of Mos Espa. This is the second episode directed by Robert Rodriguez. He directed the first episode, and he directed the episode in which Boba Fett returned in the Mando Season 2. Episode 3 finally started to do something a little bit differently, and I was all in on it, dude. I loved the stuff that they were setting up in here. They did a lot with the new characters we were introduced to in the last episode, like the Black Wookiee bounty hunter. I believe his name is Black Stanton from the comic books, Star Wars comic books. I kind of forget those exist. I have a couple, I just, never read them all. But I think that's really cool that they're bleeding in, comic lore and other, expanded lore into the shows now, picking and choosing what works and what doesn't work, and I like that, dude. This is a badass concept, a Wookiee bounty hunter. I love how they can take species and different, styles of robots that we know and love from the original trilogy or even the prequels and kind of twist it on its head. We got a baby Yoda, and now we have an evil Wookiee. I love stuff like that, and the galaxy in this world, in this universe of Star Wars, is so vast you can do things like that and have it not come across cheesy. So as I mentioned in the intro, the flashbacks do take a bit of a backseat in this episode. They do show Boba in the healing chamber, and then it fades to white, and then it shows young Boba Fett. It looks like some de-aging, it looks like the kid from, episode 2, only, that kid's 20 years older now. So you sprinkle on some CGI magic and you got the kid again. And then they just show him watching Jango Fett, his father, take off on some sort of mission or something. And then it cuts back to Boba, after he's been promoted by the Sand People. He's got his own Bamta or Bamta. I don't know how it's pronounced, but he's got one of those creatures, the ones that just keep dying. And that's really cool. He's just kind of showing off on all the people. It's like, yeah, that's right. You thought I couldn't, but I did. I got one before you. And you're a sand person. Boba went to go meet with the leader of the group that he let loose in the second episode. The ones who were on the train that kept shooting at the Sand People's settlement. After that meeting, Boba comes back, and the entire settlement that helped him and rebuilt him and saved him from near death under the two suns has been destroyed and murdered. Look, it's not like any of these Sand People were characters to us. We didn't get to know any of their names. Their language is so exclusive, so you do feel that disconnect between them. Boba had a little bit of an attachment to them. Not this super emotional one, but he was the one who felt the attachment, not us. But it still hurt. I felt for Boba in this scenario because the people who did save him, and he felt for them, he helped them, they were murdered, and he wasn't there to save them. And I can't help but feel like that changes him a little bit. But in that sense, I cared for Boba and his loss, not necessarily for the Sand People in general, because up until The Mandalorian and Boba Fett, we've never cared about the Sand People. They've always been the bad guys who kidnapped Anakin's mom. When he pulls out the little piece of the branch that was left over from, the giant branch that he crafted his weapon out of, which I thought was a really cool scene, and it was kind of cool, a nice little way of showing some symbolism. He had still a little piece of the branch, and he throws it into the fire. It's kind of like his last piece, the last connection to the Sand People, and I thought that was a really cool little moment. And then it has some really nice, awesome music swelling up, and it is just a little bit emotional, I'm not gonna lie. Then it just cuts back to Boba in the healing chamber. The healing chamber opens, doesn't look like he opened it. He sits up, and then he immediately gets strangled by Black Stanton. It is so out of left field, but I loved it, dude. I love that surprise factor. This dude was waiting for him. He was like, "You forgot your rubber ducky, didn't you?" Which then leads to a pretty decent battle with Boba and Stanton, who Boba has little to no edge because he's all slippery and wearing no clothes and no armor. Oh, that's right. And then the teenagers come in. Yeah, because in the beginning of the episode, Boba recruits these teenagers who were stealing water from some guy, and he got them off the hook a little bit, only gave him like half of what, not even half, he gave him significantly less than what he thought the water was worth, and he was like, lower your prices. And then he put those teenagers that were stealing to work. Instead of killing them, instead of throwing them in jail, he just gave them a job working for Boba, working for the new palace. And I thought that was kind of cool, though. If you ask me, I don't think that these teenagers, these young kids in the Star Wars galaxy fit in the Star Wars galaxy. They look like they're just part of some steampunk movie that just so happens to have the Star Wars name on it. While I was trying to give these young kids a chance, it was hard and jarring to see Boba Fett roll up into Mos Espa with the Power Rangers scooter space as his escorts. Boba went out to talk to the mayor, and instead he got that same dude that we've been seeing in the last couple episodes, the same dude with the giant tentacles who always wears like dapper clothing, who speaks for the mayor whenever the mayor's not present. And he says something like, the mayor's busy, we can't fit you in our schedule. Fennec Shand scares him. He says, oh, maybe we can move something around. Goes into the back room, locks it. They break into the back room, and then he has disappeared. Nobody's in that back room where the mayor was in that last episode. The guy with the tentacles attempts to drive away, so Boba sends the Power Rangers after him. It was an interesting chase scene. It wasn't my favorite. Again, I'm not super on board with these steampunk looking kids. Like, they just don't feel Star Wars-y to me. They feel like they're part of another sci-fi space flick. It doesn't feel like they exist in Star Wars universe, you know? But maybe that's just, you know, the time passes and this is what the younger kids in the galaxy are like, so I'm giving it a little pass, but I don't want to see any of this steampunk looking crap in main Star Wars for like, you know, 90% of it. They end up making the guy with the tentacles crash into a bunch of food, and then Boba flies up to him and says, where's the mayor? And he was like, he's with the other people. I'm forgetting their names, I'm sorry, but the guys that he was talking to in the flashback and the guys that he freed in the flashback, they're teaming up now. The mayor's people and these guys' people, you know, they have really cool helmets. That's all I can say. I forgot the name of their species, but the two sides are working together now, and then Fennec Shand tells Boba they're working together, they're preparing for war, and Boba simply says, and we will be ready. And then it just cuts to black. I've liked the episode. It's okay, it's good. It's not my favorite one. I still think the first two are better. The first one is probably my favorite one. But if you ask me, I'm not a huge fan of the younger kids. I don't know what they're going with this, because they have these, you know, mechanical parts to their bodies, like they're like almost half machine. But I just don't know what you do with them, because they don't feel like Star Wars. They feel slightly detached from the lore and the galaxy. They just feel like they're from something else and they're crossing over. That's what it feels like to me, honestly. And I'm not one to blame the show because Boba Fett's not throwing down immediately in the show. Like, we're halfway through it. We've seen quite a bit from Boba Fett. I like the character, and I like what they're doing with the character post the lore and the stuff that we knew about back then with the original trilogy and the expanded lore and whatnot. I like what they're doing in this show. They're giving him some character growth, dude, and it's something unique, and I'm invested in it, but I don't know how I feel about these new additions, and it looks like we're gonna be kicking up a notch in the next episode, for the last half of it, if you will. I'm excited for it still. I'm holding out hope that this is gonna end in a really big way. Anyways, guys, that is my review for episode 3, chapter 3 of the Book of Boba Fett, The Streets of Mos Espa. Let me know down below, what did you think of the episode? Are you caught up with the show? If you're not, go watch my other reviews of episodes 1 and 2. I think it's a pretty good show overall, but if it keeps going down this route and it focuses too much on these kids that I'm not necessarily into, then I don't know. I'm not gonna end up liking it too much. But leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new, guys, and be sure to stick around because we got 4 more episodes left of the Book of Boba Fett. And currently I'm doing a Batman movie review marathon on the channel. We already reviewed Batman 1989 starring Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson, the first Tim Burton film. In a couple days we're going to review Batman Returns, the second Michael Keaton film, also starring Michelle Pfeiffer and Danny DeVito. So there's a lot of Bat content and Boba Fett content coming to the channel, and as I always say, there is more to come.